The Dolomites. They are, without question, one of the most photographed mountain ranges on Earth. 17 peaks rising above 3,000 meters, pale rose rock faces that turn a fiery amber at sunset. A landscape so precise and otherworldly that UNESCO declared it a World Heritage Site in 2009. Every year, millions of people visit, hike, and photograph these mountains from the surface, but almost nobody talks about what's underneath them. Because underneath the Dolomites, and indeed underneath the entire Alpine chain, there is something that geology textbooks mention only in passing, something that hydrogeologists have been quietly studying for decades, and something that becomes considerably stranger the more closely you examine it. There are voids down there, enormous ones, not just small caves or narrow fissures, but chambers and reservoirs of a scale that challenges the imagination. And running through it all, deeper than any road, deeper than any tunnel, deeper than any military installation you've ever heard of, there is water. Vast quantities of it, moving in ways that our current models of underground hydrology struggle to explain. Today, we are going underground. We're going to look at what the seismologists have recorded, what the speleologists have found, and in some cases, been prevented from reaching, and why these mountains have attracted military attention and deliberate concealment for longer than most civilizations have existed. Before we start, drop a comment telling us where you are watching from and what time it is right now. We want to see how many countries this video reaches. Let's go underground. The story starts with the geology, because the geology is where this mystery becomes impossible to dismiss. The Dolomites are built primarily from limestone and dolomite rock, calcium and magnesium carbonate formed from ancient seafloors compressed over hundreds of millions of years. These are soluble rocks. Water finds its way into them, following natural fracture lines, and over geological time, it dissolves the stone to create passages and networks that bear no resemblance to the surface above. This process is called karst. To give you an idea of the scale, the Lamprechtsofen cave system in Austria currently holds a record depth of over 1,600 meters. That's deeper than many of the world's deepest mines. And that is just one mapped system. But here's where it gets interesting. Seismological surveys conducted across the Alpine region have identified zones where seismic wave velocities drop significantly. This deceleration is a known signature of one of two things: fluid saturation or massive void space. In several areas beneath the Central Alps, the data suggests reservoirs operating at a scale we do not fully understand. Estimates of the total freshwater stored in Alpine aquifer systems run into the hundreds of cubic kilometers. For context, Lake Garda, the largest lake in Italy, holds approximately 50 cubic kilometers. The water potentially stored in the Alpine underground system dwarfs it. Where is it coming from? Some of it is fossil water, sealed in the rock for tens of thousands of years, moving on timescales that have nothing to do with current rainfall or snowmelt. What makes the Alpine water system most peculiar is not its size, it's its behavior. Hydrogeologists studying spring emergence in the Dolomite region have documented something that should, by conventional models, not be happening. Springs in different valleys, separated by miles of solid mountain terrain, show correlated water level fluctuations. When pressure changes in one part of the system, it registers in springs that are hydrologically separated by solid rock. This is the signature of a connected system. Something is linking water bodies that, on the surface map, have no business being linked. It suggests that somewhere beneath the visible geology, there's a network of passages and reservoirs acting as a single hydraulic body. Think about what that means. You're looking at a mountain range, a formidable physical barrier, but beneath it, in the darkness, there is what functions as an inland sea. It's a real body of water, fragmented across thousands of individual chambers and conduits, but behaving as one. The Alpine water system sits at the headwaters of the Rhine, the Rhone, the Po, and the Danube, four of the major river systems of Europe. The Alps are the hydrological heart of the continent, and the deepest parts of that heart remain, for all practical purposes, unexplored. If you've seen our previous video on mountain fortresses carved into rock faces, some of this will feel familiar. During the First World War, the Dolomites were the site of an extraordinary military campaign. Soldiers fought at elevations that should have been physically inaccessible, carving tunnels through solid rock. The fortress of La Gazoue, at over 2,700 meters, is a prime example. Military engineers explicitly incorporated existing natural cavities into their defensive designs. Here's the question worth asking. Why were military engineers so consistently drawn to sites that happen to sit above major cave systems? The practical answer involves defensibility. But there's a second consideration: water. Fresh water at high elevation is a strategic resource of the first order. A fortification connected to a reliable underground water source is not just defensible, it is self-sufficient. The military engineers who selected these sites weren't only looking at sight lines, they were looking at what was underneath. Even today, several of these cave systems have sections that remain officially inaccessible to the public, with access restricted by a combination of safety regulations and active monitoring that goes beyond what cave safety alone would require. This is where we move from scientific data to something harder to categorize. Several cave systems within the Alpine karst zone contain passages whose geometry is anomalous. We are talking about vault profiles that maintain consistent curvature for hundreds of meters, wall surfaces that show a degree of evenness inconsistent with natural dissolution, floors that are level to a precision that running water simply doesn't produce. The standard explanation involves specific geological conditions, but a more uncomfortable hypothesis exists, that some of what we are looking at is not the product of water acting on rock over millions of years. Some of it may be the product of deliberate excavation by people, or something with the capabilities of people, at a point in history far earlier than our conventional timeline accommodates. The Dolomites were habitable during interglacial periods hundreds of thousands of years ago. While the ice sheets of the last ice age would have erased most surface evidence, they would not have erased what was deep underground. Could the underground water system of the Alps have been accessed, used, and possibly partially engineered by a culture lost to history? If you're enjoying this deep dive into the parts of history and geology that the standard curriculum skips, make sure to hit the like button right now. It really helps the algorithm show this video to more people seeking the truth. And if you want to join our community of explorers, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Every week we go deeper into the mysteries hidden in the shadows. Now, let's look at the evidence that someone is actively trying to keep those shadows closed. In 2009, a French speleological team in the Mont Blanc Massif documented a chilling encounter. 600 meters into a previously unmapped passage, they found a section of wall that had been sealed with modern, poured concrete. There was no official record of any project in that area. No mines, no tunnels, no safety works. This is not an isolated incident. Across the Alps, explorers have encountered sealed passages, restricted zones, and high-tech monitoring equipment in caves that are officially described as natural undeveloped environments. The standard explanation involves a Cold War infrastructure. The Alps are riddled with nuclear-hardened installations, but it creates a situation where the most significant geological systems in Europe are also the most systematically restricted. Whatever those depths contain, it is being effectively shielded from the surface world. Is it really possible for massive bodies of water to hide beneath the earth undetected? In 1996, scientists drilling through the Antarctic ice sheet at the Vostok station found a liquid freshwater lake the size of Lake Ontario, sealed under 4 kilometers of ice for 15 million years. The principle is the same. The Earth contains isolated water bodies at scales and depths that surface-based science often fails to account for. If life can exist in the total darkness and high pressure of Lake Vostok, and evidence suggests it does, then the conditions in the deep alpine aquifers are equally capable of supporting it. We may be looking at a unique, isolated ecosystem right beneath the heart of Europe. There is one final data point. In the valleys of the Italian Dolomites and near Salzburg, residents have documented the hum, a persistent, low-pitched vibration felt as much as heard that has no identifiable surface source. One hypothesis, the movement of very large water masses through confined underground passages, generates pressure waves in the rock itself. The other, more speculative, that human or artificial infrastructure is operating within the deep systems and the resonant properties of the caverns are amplifying the mechanical sound to the surface. Either way, it points to a dynamic, active world beneath our feet. The Dolomites from above are a masterpiece of nature. From below, they are a mystery of science and shadows. Enormous water systems, sealed passages, and seismic signatures that don't add up. Is the underground world of the Alps simply a geological wonder? Or is there something else down there? Ancient engineering or modern secrets kept from the public? The last great unexplored territory isn't the deep ocean. It may be directly underneath the most visited mountain range in the world. So, here's my question for you. Do you think these deep cave systems are simply unexplored, or are they being deliberately kept that way? Tell me your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to Ancient Enigma for more investigations, and I'll see you in the next one.